So that was the message he was giving, that I am a king, but my mind is not involved in all these affairs. So dunya means ignoring the Almighty Allah. Next kare. So Sufism aims at psychological transformation. Next. So as a poet, he has been compared to Umar, Ghalib, Mir, and he has been called the first poet of language and Khatam al-Shuara. Next. So he is like Iqbal. He has a message to give. Next, very. Next. Travels of Farid. Farid was a well-traveled man. He had traveled different places in India. Next, kar de. Next. And travel does not mean physical travel. Inner travel as well. Because in mysticism, we have a special term for inner travels. Ek minute. Piche kare. We call it Safar dar watan. You are in your country, but you are traveling. Your mind is traveling. Your heart is traveling. Travel within and travel without. Next. Farid as a linguist. Farid had plurilingual competence. He knew 8 languages, even English as well. And stylistic acumen. Next. ये सराइकी लिंग्विस्ट के बहुत बड़े एक्सपर्ट हैं, वो कहते हैं दूसरी तरफ वो शायरी नहीं बल्कि माहिर लसानियात भी थे. ही वॉज एन एक्सपर्ट इन लिंग्विस्ट एज वेल. नेक्स्ट. नाउ ग्लिम्पसेस ऑफ ख्वाजा साहिब्स एप्लीकेशन ऑफ लिंग्विस्टिक्स इन हिज पोएट्री. नेक्स्ट करें. द फर्स्ट थिंग इज intertextuality. In our discourse we studied intertextuality. Intertextuality means if I am an author, all the books that I read throughout my life will find expression in my book. This is intertextuality. Next, kare. For example, in order to understand Farid, we have to understand folk tales of the region, geographical names, multiple languages, because he wrote poetry in multiple languages, and beyond this, Hinduism as well, and jewelry items. जो जेवरात सहरा में पहने जाते हैं, the jewelry items worn by women in desert, we also need to know about them. Next. Hindu mythology as well. He mentioned Ayodhya, Mithra. Next. And the trees which Hindus worship. People tree, Ashoka tree, banyan tree, neem tree, sandalwood tree, tulsi plant. So all these trees Hindus worship, and he has mentioned. Next, correct. He mentioned samadhi as well. That is meditation in Hindu culture. Next. In the background of all these terms, now just see. उपरम वेद बताऊं मैं अज्ञानी को ज्ञान सुनाऊं, सूरत सरंद हाथ मुंह लेकर प्रेम की तार बजाऊं, 5 सखी मिल राम द्वारे सत गुर की जस गाऊं, देसु कहां बदेस को दौड़ूं जोग बराग कमाऊं, कहां अजूधिया संबल मित्रा कहां गोवर्धन जाऊं, सूरज चांद को समोख राखूं सन समाध लगाऊं, पीपल तुलसी काहे को बूझूं काहे को तीरथ नाऊं, और से काम फरीद न मेरो आत्म द्यो मनाऊं. ये फर्स्ट लाइन और ये लास्ट लाइन ये लिंक है. अब वो राज क्या है वो यहां बता रहे हैं, इसके बाद हम बाद में आएंगे. नेक्स्ट करें. सो मुस्लिम सूफीज दे यूज्ड कॉफीज. नेक्स्ट कर दें. फरीदुद्दीन मसून गंज शकर रहमतुल्लाह अलैह, शाह हुसैन रहमतुल्लाह अलैह, शाह अब्दुल लतीफ भिटाई रहमतुल्लाह, सच्चल सरमस्त, and all these poets, they have been using the genre of coffee. Next. So why did they use, what did they do with these coffees? Next. In this coffee they took folk tales, right? They folk tales to convey eternal and universal truths. Next कर दें. Next कर दें. ख्वाजा फरीद रहमतुल्लाह wrote 271 coffees and 128 coffees focus on stories of love and 143 on the landscape of Rohi. Next. So these are the folk tales. Mobile and Sony Mahiwal, miscellaneous. And he took it from not only from Indus Valley civilization but Indian culture as well. Next kar dein. And Saraiki language, the musicality of Saraiki language is similar to the musicality of English language. And these are not my words, these are the word of Shackle, the English professor who has translated his poetry. Next kar dein. He gives this example. Rati karan shikar dilinde di valorin mitiyan. So the rhythm of English is very similar. By night they hunt for lovers' hearts. They churn their pots by day. Next. 143 copies depict the beauty of desert. Next kar dein. So why desert? Why he preferred to live in the desert? Next kar dein. Vastness of desert matches the vastness of Muslim Sufi masters. Cities' narrow spaces do not match with the intensity and vastness of love. Desert and wide spaces attract poets, truth seekers, and divine lovers. Next. See, he is praising the desert, right? Means these deserts accommodate lovelorns, those people who are sad in love. Next kar dein. Next kar dein. So barrenness is relative. For me, a desert may be a barren land, but for a man with a different feeling, desert may not be a barren land. Next. So Rohi, the desert we call Rohi, is actually, its geographical name is Indian desert. It is the greatest desert in the subcontinent. 90% of this desert in India, and only 10% of this desert in Pakistan. Next kar dein. And Rohi people are not aggressive. People who live by the rivers, they are aggressive by temperament. You know, in the desert, you know, there is a low crime rate. Next kar dein. So he spent 18 years, you know, meditating and worshipping the Almighty Allah. Next kar dein. Next. Rohi as a metaphor. I told you in the beginning, a great poet must invent a metaphor. He invented the metaphor of desert being a place where he could see the manifestation of Almighty Allah. Metaphors coined by previous poets became dead with the passage of time. Every poet must coin a unique metaphor to succeed as a poet. Next. So this is the metaphor. The new metaphor which he has coined is the metaphor Rohi, the desert, as a valley of love and valley of union with the beloved. Next. Now stylistic. Next kar dein. What is stylistic? Anyone? Stylistic क्या है भाई? अगर आप तस्वीर देखेंगे तो आपको समझ आ जाएगा stylistic क्या है. Sorry? गिरानी साहब इनाम देंगे जो जवाब देगा. Stylistic is the study of style, author style. Next. Stylistic is at the middle of linguistic literature. Stylistic, you know, combines both literature and linguistics. See the map, the diagram. Literary criticism, English language, linguistic and literature. In the middle is stylistics. The purpose is to explore creativity in language use. Next. So, two things are important. Linguistic choices and their effect. एक किसी ने मेकअप किया, उस मेकअप का इफेक्ट क्या हुआ है, बंदा मर गया है कि वो क्या हुआ है उसके साथ. So we analyze linguistic analysis and psychological processes in the reader. Next. So linguistic choices of Farid and its impact on society. फरीद ने जो शायरी लिखी उसका सोसाइटी पे क्या इम्पैक्ट हुआ, वो उसके अल्फाज क्या थे. नेक्स्ट. सो वी फोकस ऑन not routine features but on striking features which give surprise and interest. Next. sublimity in poetry. Next. Okay. So sublime poetry, great poetry moves. It is like a flying carpet. It imparts ecstasy. It transports reader to a new world. Next. Ab wait. رلوستے لوکاں نال ہن پر اصل فارغ بال ہن ہر آن غر کے خیال ہن شاغل سمن شاغل اٹھن. Mean there are those people who remain busy with the public but they are not with them. They are immersed in the remembrance of Almighty Allah, whether they are sleeping or they are awake. Just see the story of two Gyanis I told you in the beginning. I told you he mentions jewelry items in his poetry. So he says, wait, today the jewelry items are sitting well on me, maybe my beloved is going to come. Right? So he is using personification. Next. So he uses the magic of words and combines the opposite and magic of words to, why? To cast effect on the reader. Next. In our stylistic, we have a term foregrounding. Foregrounding means something striking. Foregrounding. Next, kare. Because in painting there is background, there is middle ground, there is foreground. So author, in order to succeed, brings surprises in the foreground. Next. And these foregrounding is completed with deviation from norms. Norms are needed element of surprise and interest. Next کریں. اب آپ دیکھیں یہاں پر آپ کو کوئی ڈیویشن محسوس ہو رہی ہے, یعنی کہ روٹین سے ہٹ کے بات یہاں کوئی ہو رہی ہے. اردو, حضرت خواجہ صاحب نے اردو میں بھی شاعری لکھی ہے, خواب میں بھی نہیں ہے وصل نصیب, بے نصیبوں کے پیشوا ہیں ہم. رائٹ. تو یہ فور گراؤنڈنگ بھی ہے, ڈیویشن بھی ہے. نیکسٹ کر دیں, نیکسٹ کر دیں, نیکسٹ کر دیں. نیکسٹ. Do you expect to derive pleasure from newspaper reading? Yes or no? Or you become worried about society? Yes, but literature also portrays life, newspaper also portrays life, but literature imparts pleasure and newspaper impart worries. Next kar dein. Next. Next. So surprise and interest, these elements are needed in literature in order to arouse the attraction of the reader. Next kar dein. Now we talk about different kinds of deviation in Khwaja Sahib's poetry. See, which rohi de rahndiyan nazik nazu. Now he modified this word nazu to produce music here. So phonetic deviation, grammatical deviation, violating the grammar. Author must break the rules of language to invent new expression. Now, Thea should be at the end, he is bringing it in the beginning. Thea beshak aman begam jo haram ehate aaya. So this is grammatical or syntactical deviation. Next. Next. Dialectal deviation. He was, next kar dein. Next kar dein. He used multiple languages in his poetry, and this is dialectical language. Next. So he was well versed in Saraiki, Arabic, Persian, Sindhi, Urdu, Hindi, Braj, Indian dialect, and English as well. Next. Poetry in Braj. Savan bundiriyan jhar lave, kook kook papire pepiha, phook phook tan aag jagave, koyal kunj sehrave bole, dil dukhyari nu dukh tave, nain chain se jhagdat jhagdat, tadphat tadphat rain bahave. So this is Braj language. Next. So this is deviation, using a different language. Next. Next kar dein. See 4 languages being used in 2 lines: Arabic, Persian and Urdu. 3 languages. 3 languages. Multilingual poetry. Next. Lexical deviation, new words. Next. Next kar dein. For example, Nan Seekte did not exist in Saraiki language. He coined this word. Next. Tati, the word Tati did not exist in Saraiki language. Bhural Jani did not exist. He introduced this word. Watan Pyasa, it did not exist in Saraiki language. And he used different symbols as well. Punal means the Prophet, peace be upon him. Kech means Dayare Habib. Mar, Gham Kada, Ishq and similar. Next. Semantic deviation. Semantic deviation. कोई दुनिया में ऐसा शख्स है जो रोने पीटने को शादी समझता हो? Is there any person who considers crying as wedding? Poet considers it. रोवन पिटन को समझू शादी, सुंज भर झर झंग दिसम आबादी. He says barrenness seems to me populated cities. So this is semantic deviation. Next. ये देखें, उर्दू का शेर है, इसके अंदर semantic deviation देखें. नासूर दिल में आबला पा में जिगर में दाग, क्या खुशनुमा है फूल हमारी बहार के. He calls his worries and sorrows flowers. This is semantic deviation. Next. Next. Next कर दें. Next कर दें. So we come back to the question we raised at the beginning. Coming back to the unfinished story of tree of immortality. So the wazir could not find the tree of immortality. He met one Indian scholar and he said, I want to find fruit of immortality. He said, you have misunderstood the things. You did not understand what is tree of immortality. Tree of immortality means knowledge. Now, elixir of life has been referred to as knowledge, love or meditation as well by visionaries and poets. Next करें. इकबाल को देखें, मर्द खुदा का अमल इश्क से साहिबे फरोग, इश्क है असल हयात, मौत है इस पे हराम. So divine love is elixir of life. Next. So what is the elixir of life? According to Sufis, free and powerful contemplation with the capacity to split a piece of hair, for which a mind is needed, which is tamed and well bred with refinement of reality and truth. Next. फरीद क्या कहते हैं elixir of life के बारे में? फरीद, make it clear to scholars, the ignorant kings and beggars, that he who wants to real life should search for himself. Meditation. फाश फरीद ए वाज सुना तू, आलिम जाहिल शाह गदा को, जे कोई चाहे फिक्र फना को, अपने आप को गोले. Next. और देखें, फरीद found the elixir of life. खलकत कुजींदी गोले, हरदम फरीद दे कोले. For whom the creature search day and night is with Farid every morn and eve. Next. So impact on society. What was the impact on society? Kanachvi, 1991, conclude that despite British colonial dominance, materialism and atheism, so since British Empire tried to spread atheism and materialism here in this land, Western values could not find any space in Bahawalpur because of the message of Farid. Thus, as a Sufi poet and communicator, Farid succeeded in bringing about spiritual transformation in less developed areas. He saved people, impact of society. He saved people from the negative influences of colonial culture. Next. That is all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for these thought-provoking ideas. We have really learned a lot, and I hope the students have also found new dimensions about Khwaja Farid's poetry. Now it's time to grace the stage with the presence of a man of excellence. a renowned intellectual in the field of literature, a distinguished personality. He has rendered his services as an assistant professor in Namal University, Islamabad, and had been co-editor of Namal Journal of Critical Inquiry. He is a co-translator of Sorrows of Saraswati, Bahau, Pakistan Academy of Letters, has served as head Department of English, University of Sialkot and GC University, Faisalabad Laya campus. Before joining Institute of Southern Punjab, he had served as Dean Faculty of Sciences and Humanities in University of Sialkot. And in your great round of applause, I would like to invite Head Department of English, Dr. Salim Khan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. First of all, I would like to thank the moderator for introducing me in an unjustifiable way that I myself was amazed to know that I have been one of the distinguished scholars of the region. I didn't know it before. So, Honorable Director General, respected Pro-Rector, Directors, Deans, HODs, students, and my dear colleagues from Department of English, Assalamu alaikum. So, as I have titled my presentation, Supremacism and Skewness, Negotiating Insularity of the Imperialist Idiom. So, to put it simply, I want to share with you people my ideas with reference to the discursive gimmick negotiation, because without understanding this why, we cannot understand